Okay, cool. So we have officially finished off season 6. We made it all the way through Esquire's list of the 50 scariest movies of all time, which is not true. And we are now about to embark on just a little bit of a break where we regroup, figure out what comes next. But we're thinking a theme of season 7 is going to be the current state of horror. And so I want to talk a little bit just about kind of some of your general impressions of season 6 and maybe some things that we learned or things that were big takeaways from it. And then to talk a little bit about what we're thinking of coming next. So we went through the list, and the list, initially I looked at it and I thought, wow, this is a really good spread of movies over time. But as I go back to it now and I look at just the ones that we recorded episodes about for season 6, so this is excluding the ones that we'd done episodes on previously, it's a lot of old movies.
Yeah, there were a lot of old movies, and there were a lot of torture movies.
That's true. Yeah, and so I guess one of my big takeaways for season 6 was body horror and like what that's actually what it is.
Yeah.
And so the idea that some of these movies like Human Centipede would fall into that is like, oh no, the horror is just what's happening to the people, and that's like the point of it. Like there doesn't need to be a story involved. The thing, very much like with a slasher movie, obviously there wasn't a real elaborate story going along with Halloween or some of the movies that we like in that genre. It's more about, the setup for the stab. Whereas body horror is kind of the same thing in a different way, and that's just not a thing that I'm like super moved by.
Yeah, I feel like with the list that maybe he was trying to make it less obvious, like, oh, this isn't just going to be an 80s slasher horror list. There's other movies out there that he's going to consider horror that, can be on this list as well. And, I'm just here to say he's wrong, and I hate him for it.
Yeah, there were some rough ones for sure. Now, I thought it was interesting because there were a lot of like really old movies that were not, to me, particularly scary by today's standards. So like Freaks and Yeah, and I'm drawing a total blank. Not Eyes Without a Face, because that one was kind of disturbing, but there was the other...
Well, there's Deep Red. Jaws was older. Are you talking older?
Yeah, 2 seconds, I'll have it. Sorry.
Carnival of Souls?
Yes, Repulsion? Carnival of Souls is the one I was... Yeah, but then Repulsion as well. So we've got a couple of those, and I was glad to see them included because I think that they've been very like influential, and I think that at the time, obviously like reading about audience reactions and stuff to those, people were completely blown away, but I don't think they've aged particularly well. So it's kind of interesting to think about movies in the perspective of like the time they came out, because I would have a hard time putting M on a list of the scariest movies of all time because I wasn't alive to see it when that was like the scariest thing happening,
Right. Well, yeah, and I think if the thought about that movie was it influenced, so many movies and stuff like that, then it should be on a list of like the most influenced horror films of all time, or something to that effect, But yeah, I would definitely, I think it would be like a dream of mine to be able to watch like Frankenstein for the first time. Like when it came out, not
like in the 30s,
not seeing anything worse. And then it would be like super interesting to take like Halloween back to that time and just show it off and just really freak people out. But I think that was good.
Yeah, and then another thing that kind of stood out to me with the list, or maybe not with the list in particular, but a thing that I've realized from watching the list is that I think that for me to be like fully engaged with a horror movie, there needs to be some sort of hope for the character, or you need to basically be empathizing with whoever like the main person is that's in danger, and also thinking there's a way that they could possibly like survive the situation. Because otherwise it's like, okay, well, they're just getting beat up, or, you know, like, well, they're all sewn together now, so game over, and why am I still watching?
Yeah. We kind of touched base on that a couple podcasts ago, where like I kind of think there's like the two trains of thought. One's like you want the hope, like the horror is a person trying to get away, but there's also the horror of the person not being able to get out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're trapped, the claustrophobic style. But which I think each has its benefits, but at the claustrophobic movies that we've seen, I feel like it just generally ends up being like a torture porn film, and it's like I have no interest in, like, that doesn't, you know, scare me or anything. So like movies like you know, the Human Centipede, like I feel like it's like, okay, well that's something, but it's not
Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, but so with those two, like, you know, you mentioned torture porn is a thing that gets thrown out a lot about horror movies, and I think that there's a difference between the movies that I would put in that versus a movie like The First Saw or Martyrs, because I think that those movies both have like a compelling story that they're telling, and then they're using like the torture or the violence or whatever to make it more intense and to make you more drawn in and to make it more engaging, and it's in service of like telling a larger story. Whereas other movies, that's not the case. It's just gore for the sake of gore, and those I don't get as excited about because they don't feel scary to me. It's just like you have actors on screen pretending to do really horrible things to each other, and it's like, okay,
right,
well, neat, but what's like my motivation, man?
Yeah, and you know, I won't go any further.
So what was your favorite new discovery from this list?
Well, new discovery is obviously The Shining, which, I mean, like, that we've done podcast wise, like I think the best one on the list by far was The Shining.
Yeah.
I think I really enjoyed. Well, I enjoyed M looking back on it, because I thought that
good,
was
it's a good movie.
Really interesting.
Not scary, but just a good movie.
One of like the surprise ones that I enjoyed was Wolf Creek.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I had always heard it wasn't good.
Okay.
Then Martyrs. Martyrs is one that by the time this is out, they'll have heard us do.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with that one. I really enjoyed that. We got to see Jeff Goldblum turn into a fly.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Eyes Without a Face. I mean, there was some good ones on here for sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
I had feelings in both directions.
If you say Under the Skin, Daniel, say it. I will drive down to Austin right now.
Oh, if you're going to come hang out, Under the Skin.
Oh, yeah,
favorite movie of the season. No, so Martyrs for me was one that I had not seen before that was on the list that I really enjoyed and I thought was a good movie. A couple of things that were really surprising for me were both Jaws and The Shining, because I had seen them before but hadn't really looked at them like, how is this as a horror movie? And they both really held up, I thought. And then there were a couple where I had heard good things, or I really expected a lot out of them, and they fell super flat. One of those being Last House on the Left. Another one was the original Wicker Man, because I've seen that on a lot of lists of scariest movies. And to me, that movie was just kind of a train wreck.
Yeah.
A musical train wreck.
At least you got God Told Me To out of it.
That movie. I told you I rewatched it, right?
Yeah.
I'm mildly obsessed. I kind of love it.
So weird. We also got When a Stranger Calls, which like that first half of that movie was horror.
Mm-hmm. And Maniac. You know, I enjoyed Maniac too.
Maniac too. Yeah, Maniac also was good. there's some on here, but which was very interesting. Very interesting list that they put together. Very confusing list that they put together.
It really was.
And I think we should make it clear that the whole argument on this is he's saying it's the scariest movies of all time. He's not saying it's my list of scariest movies of all time.
Right.
He's saying these are the scariest movies of all time as of whatever date that list came out. And it had like Get Out on it, and it had Halloween and all those, but it was also like you put The Witches on here. That's not the scariest movie of all time. That's one of might be yours.
Yeah.
But that's not the scariest movie.
Yeah, so our list is going to be titled the 50 scariest movies we've seen so far.
Yeah.
And I think that will be an honest presentation of what it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good move.
So yeah, season 6.
It's gonna be hard to drill it down.
Yeah, it is. But
it's gonna be very hard.
But season 6 in the books.
She's a goner.
Looking ahead, season 7. We had talked about doing a season called The Current State of Horror. Yeah. And so I think the plan is that we're going to go through a big list that we have of horror movies from the last 3 years. So like 2017 to 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's 2 years.
17, 18, and 19.
17, 19, 18, 19. So we've been doing this for 4 years in April?
When did we start?
April 16th, 2017.
Wait. No, 17 to 18 to 19 to 20 is 3.
Okay. Listen. You told me one answer a minute ago. Now you tell me this answer now.
Well, actually, yeah, I see where that's confusing. Math is the dumbest thing, dude. Like, I hate it so much. Anyway, so we're going to do like a current state of horror from the years 2017 to 2019, however many years that is. And we're going to narrow it down to probably 20 or 25 movies. And so we'll put that list on the website and thehorrific.com, and then we will work our way through that. And the idea of it is we kind of want to, now that we've spent a lot of time looking at sort of horror movies over time, we want to look at what horror movies today are doing, both sort of mainstream and more independent, and kind of see if we notice any patterns about like things that are big in horror now, especially as it contrasts with some of the older movies we've watched recently.
It's crazy to think we used to put out 3 episodes a day or a week. Was it a week?
Oh, we did that
for a long time.
One time during October.
No, we used to do that. That was like our early episodes, like April 16th, 3 episodes.
That's
May 7th, 3 episodes.
Oh yeah, that's okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, we did them in batches. Down. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was stupid.
Yeah. This is gonna be so hard to get that list down, man.
I know, it's really big right now.
Yeah, because a lot of the ones that we did, especially like kind of early, but a lot of the movies that we've done, it's like, oh yeah, hey, this is a good one. Let's watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I said, we're probably going to take a couple weeks off, and then we will come back, and we'll have some new segments and a new intro, because we can't say this is season 6 anymore. And yeah, we just got a lot of stuff happening, and we are excited to put it all together.